Steve, welcome to Feathered Friends.
Hey, got some bags today?
Absolutely.
Let's go take a look.
Let's check them out.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about Feathered Friends and your bags and what you do with the company? And
Sure, absolutely.
give me a rundown.
Sure. Feathered Friends has been in business for over 30 years now. And they were hand sewing bags just for friends, kind of something to do, kind of hippies who just needed something to do. And then more people just wanted bags and the other stuff that they were sewing, so decided to kind of turn it into a company. And they've done it ever since. So almost everything that we make is custom made, and it's still the way it is, just in a little bit bigger production now.
So most of the bags, you can come in and obviously buy bags off the
Correct.
What you have in stock, but do you do a very large custom bag order? Like, what would go into a custom bag?
Well, I always say custom bags from Feathered Friends is kind of like a custom home builder builds a home. You can get the full-on custom where you design it and you know, pick everything that's in it, but you can also get kind of the shell where they're building more like a track home, and then you get to pick the granite countertops or the laminate countertops, or you get to pick the you know, the sink that goes in there. So that's how we kind of do it. The shell is the same for the most part, and then you can pick your fabrics, you can pick your quality down, you can pick whether you get a long or a short, you can pick a right or a left zipper, you can have a collar or no collar. So there's kind of things that add on, but the basic shell stays the same.
Custom orders, is that most of what Feathered Friends does business with?
Absolutely. We have a whole mail order system, in fact, and this is the only place that you can buy Feathered Friends products is in Seattle or through the mail order. And I would say probably 85 to 90% of our business is done that way.
So Brent,
Yes.
a lot of times in magazines you'll read that if you're going to hike in the Pacific Northwest, because it's known as a wetter climate, a lot of the periodicals will say you should have a synthetic bag. And most of your bags, or almost all of them, are high-quality down bags, right?
In fact, everything we do is down bag. We don't do anything with
You don't do any synthetic?
No.
So what would be your response to someone that's saying, oh, I can't hike in the Pacific Northwest with a down bag,
Right.
versus a synthetic?
Well, I'd say we've been making down bags for 30 years, and we've been lived in the Northwest for 30 years, and we've been doing it. So the reason that a lot of people suggest synthetic bags is because back in the day, the fabric technology was so low. You could only basically get a nylon bag, and nylon didn't offer any water resistance to exterior moisture.
Okay.
And so the water would kind of seep in and then get down wet, and everyone knows that when down gets wet, it doesn't dry out very fast, and it loses all insulating ability. Synthetic loses a lot of its insulating ability too, just not as much as down.
Okay.
But that's not true anymore. There's a lot of like really new age fabrics that are really protecting your down from exterior moisture and still allowing the bag to breathe. So what was true 20 years ago maybe about the highly recommended synthetic bag in the Northwest is absolutely not true anymore.
Well, now, if I were hiking in the Pacific Northwest and wanted to take this particular bag up here, what would be my options for a shell?
Right, so we construct our bags out of 3 basic fabrics. One is nylon, which is the lightest weight and the cheapest option.
Most breathable also?
It's very breathable. It's also the most breathable. As I move through this continuum, you get heavier weight, you get more water resistance, you get less breathability and more cost.
Okay.
So we start off with nylon. It's the most breathable, lightest weight, and cheapest. It weighs in about anywhere from 0.9 to 1.3 ounces per yard,
Okay.
factoring about 4 yards in a bag. From there you move to Epic. This is actually a fantastic example of nylon. From there you move to Epic, and this is, Epic comes in a lot of different colors, but this is Epic. This is a polyester.
Okay.
It's actually infused with silicone. It's not just sprayed on the top or anything like that. It's actually, they treat the individual fibers before they weave them into a fabric with silicone. I'm not a chemist, so I don't know how it bonds, but it is like a lifetime deal.
It won't wash off?
It won't wash off.
Okay.
And actually,
or rub off?
No,
So if
not at
it
all.
has to get some wear in the bag, it'll
Exactly.
stay in. Okay.
Which will happen with nylon. Nylon, all these fabrics are treated with a DWR, which stands for durable water repellents.
Right.
And that will wear off about 5 to 10 times of stuffing that sleeping bag in and out of a stuff sack, and your DWR is going to be gone. So that's why a little bit more durable treatment is good. You add a little bit of weight. You go to 1.6 to 7 ounces per yard. Now the third fabric is this one here, which is called, we use, general terms are PTFE, which stand for polytechno something laminate, I don't know. But the specific fabric that we're using is called Event, which is a newer fabric. It's similar to, a lot of people know Gore-Tex. It's similar to a dry loft. It's a lighter weight. It breathes better. But it is a laminate. So that means that there's an exterior fabric, which is this nylon, and it's laminated to, or basically glued to a membrane on the inside. This bag is actually, the fabric is waterproof. The bag is not waterproof because nobody tapes the seams in a sleeping bag. It's just too cost-prohibitive. It's very durable. In the old days, laminates, before they had really kind of perfected the technology, laminates sometimes came delaminated. Especially if you put them in a hot dryer, they would delaminate, but that's not true anymore.
So even if somebody throws their bag in a hot dryer, which they're not supposed to do.
Not you're not supposed to do, right.
It
should be all
stay
right.
together.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
Brent, the Vario, one of my favorite bags, it's most of what I use when I'm doing a hike.
Right.
I use it on Wonderwood Trail all the time.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about this bag and its features?
Absolutely.
Its weight.
The Vario is our lightest weight bag. It weighs in at about a pound. It comes in 3 lengths, 62, 68, and 72 inches. That's clearly based on how tall you are. The bag is a 45/25 degree bag, which means that the bag was designed to be worn with, excuse me, our volant jacket, which is about, it's kind of a classic like Rainier jacket. So if you're wearing the jacket inside the bag, it's a 25 degree bag. If you have no jacket on, it's a 45 degree bag.
Does that take into account the hood that comes with the jacket?
Yes, in fact, this bag you can actually get a flange sewn onto the bag, which I did with mine. So you can take your hood off your jacket and add it to your bag.
And that, of course, would add to the warmth factor of the bag.
Right, exactly. Protecting your head. Indeed.
So Brent, this is the Hummingbird.
Correct.
Also one of my favorite bags, which I've used for when it's colder. Really for mountaineering.
Right.
What can you tell me about this bag?
The Hummingbird is one of our best-selling bags, actually, and the reason is because it's the most applicable in the widest range of activities. It's a 20-degree bag. We make several 20-degree bags. Again, going back to the model thing. This one comes in a 58-inch shoulder. The Swallow is a 60-inch shoulder, and the Swift is a 64-inch shoulder. So clearly, the bigger the bag, the more weight you have, but you also kind of increase the comfort level.
But the Swift and the Swallow are actually separate style of bags.
Correct. They're cut in the same kind of general shape and pattern. They're just a little bit bigger around the shoulders, which makes them bigger around the hips and bigger around the foot box.
So basically, you're taking into account all kinds of body types and whether you
body
need
types
room or not in your bag.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're buying bags is they buy them too big around the shoulder. You fit in a Hummingbird, you probably fit in it really well, as do I. Not everyone fits in a Hummingbird, but some people think that comfort is more important than fit, and that's not true. Fit really goes to thermodynamics. If you put a space heater in your bathroom, it really works really well. But if you put your space heater in the living room, it doesn't work so well. So if your body's the space heater and the bag is the room, you can see how that kind of holds true.
So if you have too much room in the bag, really it's not going to be efficient to heat up the bag.
Correct.
To keep the heat inside.
Right. So now you're carrying a bunch of extra weight. You're probably not sleeping at night anyway, whether you're tight or whether you have a lot of room. Either way, you're not sleeping. So, I want to talk a little bit about quality of down. Because when you're purchasing a bag as a consumer, the only thing that you know is the number of fill power that the producer is telling you.
So I've seen on some generic bags, 550 or 500, and then higher quality, they're touting 800 fill down.
Correct. And
What's
what
the
that's
difference?
supposed to tell you is there's not really any standardized test. What it's supposed to tell you is that if you take X amount of down and put it in this shaped beaker with this kind of weight on it, it lofts up this high.
Okay.
The thing is that you don't really know who did that test or how they did it. So as a consumer, you're really kind of left at the wills and ways of the manufacturer, which is tough.
So there's no standardized.
No,
somebody,
there's not
somebody
a government.
touts 800 fill down. We don't know who's saying that.
Right.
So
Right. There's not a test for 800 fill. There's not a government test. There's not even an industry test. So you may have even seen claims of 900 out there. The only thing I can tell you is that whatever. We could call ours 2,000. Lighter than air. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same. It comes from the same place.
Okay.
So.
And I actually put a collar option in mine too.
Right.
And that's something that can go in most of your bags
Again.
too, right?
Yep. On the 20-degree bags, the collar is an option. And what the collar does is it adds about 6-7 ounces to the overall weight of the bag, but it makes the bag about 10 degrees
And essentially why, right?
Well, again, I come from building tradition, so I always refer to homes, but if you think about you're sitting in your house and you open the window, it's always colder with the window open than it is with the window closed, and your neck is basically that window. So if you can shut that off with a collar, your thermodynamics again go higher. Now the other thing to remember about temperature ratings on bags, this is a 20-degree bag. It used to be called survival ratings. And then they dropped the word survival from before the rating.
Not
because
comfort.
No, right. It doesn't really sell a lot of bags. So they now they just call it 20, 30, 40, whatever. Which means that if you're in a 20-degree situation, in a 20-degree bag, you're gonna be cold. You will live, but you're gonna be cold.
So it's not really a comfort rating.
No.
A 20-degree bag means if it's 20 degrees outside, you might still be cold.
You will be cold. You will be cold. Unless you pile all your clothes on or take other drastic measures, but yeah.
That's good to know with a rating system.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And the other thing about the rating system, there's no standard. It's merely arbitrarily assigned by the manufacturer. So a 20-degree bag from Feather Friends is probably different than a 20-degree bag from Marmot, which is probably different than a 20-degree bag from REI, et cetera, et cetera. As a consumer, again, the thing to look at is ounces of fill and inches of loft. It'll be far more indicative of how warm your bag will actually be.
And all the information for your bags can be found on your website.
Correct.
As far as loft and
Correct.
Ounces of fill.
Featheredfriends.com.
Featheredfriends.com. Well, let's go to the next bag.
Fantastic.
But two adults could also use this.
It's a fantastic bag. In fact, out of all the sleeping bags that I own, none of them get as much use as the Penguin.
Why is that?
Well, because whenever
Where do
you're
you use them?
well, you don't always need the lightest and the fastest bag. You got to have those in your quiver, but you also sometimes you're sleeping in the back of your truck, or you're going to Squamish and you're just walking into the tent or whatever. And so the Penguin is a fantastic bag, and the reason is because you can use it as a one-person bag, or you can zip it all the way down and around. It actually comes apart at the bottom. We make a ground sheet that it zips onto. So if you open it all the way up, and you zip it onto that ground sheet, which we make, you can lay it out, and it basically becomes a two-person bed.
So the ground sheet will zip all the way to the sides.
Correct. The ground sheet zips all the way on there, and then on the ground sheet, actually, there's two pockets for thermarest to tuck into, so that you can hold the thermarest together so they don't slide around.
Design-wise, this is a bit of a departure from your typical bag.
Right.
Rock Wren. Can you tell me a little bit about this bag?
Absolutely. The Rock Wren is a very multifunctional bag. Again, it's not for everyone. It's kind of specialized, but the people who like it really do like it. It has a center zip, which zips halfway down, which isn't that unusual. It's constructed similar to a bag. It's baffled, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, it has armholes, so you can stick your arms out on either side. And the bottom has a drawstring on it, which opens up. So basically what you can do is you can use this jacket use this bag almost as a jacket.
Right.
Stick your arms out, pull that thing up, and zip it around your waist.
So you can walk around.
Exactly. You can walk around. You can get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom if you need to, without having to get out of your sleeping bag.
Or for that matter, you could use this reclining and cooking with your arms outside.
Correct.
And still have the bag over.
Exactly. It really almost negates the need for a down jacket.
This comes in both baffled and unbaffled.
Correct.
So
We make it
different
actually.
styles.
There's 45, 35, and 25 degree weights on this. The 45 is sewn through, which means that the top fabric is sewn to the inner fabric, as opposed to baffle construction, which means that there's kind of a wall in between the two fabrics.
So more loft.
More loft, more evenness of warmth.
Okay. All these bags are made here in Seattle?
Correct. Our factory is actually about 6 blocks from here. It has been for a long time. Handcrafted in Seattle by people who have worked for us for over 20 years.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time today. I appreciate
Not
you
a
showing
problem.
me the bags.
Thanks for coming in, Steve.
You bet.